Alright, what's up guys? My name is Zack, and for the last week I've been driving the 2026 Subaru Forester Wilderness. Up front is a 2.5 liter flat 4, and down below is a CVT. Now I am super excited to be making this video here today because I truly believe that the Wilderness trim levels offered from Subaru are some of the best in the game when it comes to soft off-roaders, and we'll talk about the definition of that a little bit later on, but I'm just excited to share this new 2026 model with you here today. But if you'd like to submit your own vehicle and have it reviewed here on the channel, you can head on over to my website, zackpradel.com/submit. It's a quick and easy submission form. It takes under a minute to fill out, and I come out to you. And if you'd like to see all my videos weeks or sometimes months in advance, you can head on over to my Patreon for only $5 a month. But let's get back to that 2.5 liter flat 4 under the hood. Well, it only makes about 180 horsepower, and I say only because it is somewhat lackluster for this segment of vehicle. The Mazda CX-5, even in its naturally aspirated configuration, does make more power, and there is a turbo offering. However, that's not the strong suit of the Forester. The Forester is good at off-road, and so we're going to talk about that a little bit later on. Paired to it is a CVT, meaning continuously variable transmission. It's fine, it does the job. I don't love the way that it feels or drives. However, Subaru's been using CVTs in the Forester for at least the last decade and a half, and it seems to be working out fine. Last but not least, this does have Subaru's symmetrical all-wheel drive system, which is, in my opinion, the best all-wheel drive system in this classification of SUV. I think it works really well. I think it does its job very well, and that's going to be a big talking point towards the end of the video. How does it feel to drive the Subaru Forester Wilderness? It drives like any other compact SUV, and that's the good thing, because it does have the off-road capabilities that we'll talk about. The Wilderness gets a raised 9.3 inches of ground clearance. It gets knobbier tires and things like that. It still drives like a normal vehicle. So you can commute to the office, you could take this to school, you could take this to soccer practice or band camp, and you're not going to have a broken spine when you arrive like some of the more hardcore vehicles. So that is one of the big beauties of the Forester Wilderness. Visibility is good, ride quality is also good, and we'll talk more about it towards the end. With that stuff out of the way, let's talk about the interior. Well, in front of me I have a completely digital gauge cluster. I think it works somewhat well. However, the fact that it is digital, I wish that it looked a little bit more modern. They're sticking to these older gauge cluster styles, which is fine, but if it's gonna be digital, give me something cool, not just an animated version of what you used to have. On the steering wheel on the left, we do have our skip track source, information selectors, phone options, and volume, and off to the right we have our adaptive cruise, as well as our 2 drive modes for S and I. We do get a gold accent down at the bottom of the steering wheel, love to see that, and off to the left we have a climate control vent, tailgate release, and gauge cluster dimmer. Moving on to the door, we do have our latch to get in and out, power mirrors, power locks, and power windows. Moving into the center, we get a giant infotainment display. This does have wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. However, as you can probably tell throughout some of the video, we actually got our first snow here in Chicago for the season. So it's pretty cold today, and this was pretty laggy. It took me a full 15 seconds before I was able to turn the heated seats on, and another 10 seconds before I was able to adjust the temperature. That's just one of the downsides of screens. When they do get cold, they do not like it, and unfortunately Subaru is switching to that. We do have some physical buttons for the temperature, which is nice, and you could still utilize that while the screen is warming up, but for the heated seats, I had no other option. Down below, we do have inputs for aux, USB-C, and USB-A, as well as a wireless charger, so all your charging needs will be met there. And then moving into the center console, we have the shifter off to the left, we have our power parking brake and camera view button. This camera view button will allow you to access a forward-facing camera, which is really, really nice for out on the trails. But off to the right, we do have cup holders, so we'll do a big freaking bottle test, and in the rear cup holder exclusively, it does in fact pass the big freaking bottle test. This has been updated for the Forester, and I love to see it. Then we do get a 12-volt outlet and a center console, and then the seats. The seats are made out of a material that is extra water resistant, which is very, very nice. If you get them muddy or dirty, they are easy to clean, easy to wipe off, which is great for a vehicle like this. You're going to be taking it off-road, and so that is very, very nice. And they're comfortable, they're heated, power, and have those sorts of goodies. However, speaking of seats, we do have back seats, so let's go do a back seat review. All right, so we're in the back of the 2026 Subaru Forester Wilderness, and a couple of things to note. First of all, knee room good, headroom good. I'm 5'11", not a small guy. I fit back here pretty well. We do get little Subaru Forester Wilderness tags on the doors, much like the front, as well as found here on the seats. We do have 2 climate vents as well as USB-C and USB-A. However, I would have loved heated seats back here for today. It is very, very chilly, and I just would have liked to have seen that. However, it looks like there are spots for it, so I assume the upper trims of the Forester would get that, but I haven't driven those yet. We do have a fold-down center console with 2 cup holders. We do get USB-C and USB-A down below, and overall, this is a nice place to be. I would be very happy to ride back here, out on the trail, going out camping or hiking. Riding back here as a bigger boy would be totally fine. So that's very nice to see, and I can't say that about every vehicle in this segment. Let's hop into the very back. We'll take a quick look at the trunk and cargo space, and then we'll talk about the looks. All right, we're on the back of the Subaru Forester Wilderness. Button in here, and it does have a power lift gate. And once we are back here, a couple of great things to notice. First of all, we have this great Forester all-weather mat. Now, you can save some coin. You don't have to go out and buy WeatherTechs immediately. That's going to run $200-300. It comes with it, which is nice. We have some levers to lower the second row of seats, as well as our 12-volt outlet. Absolutely wonderful to see in a vehicle like this, because you're going to be using that to inflate inflatable mattresses, camping equipment. Absolutely awesome. I would have loved to have seen a regular wall outlet back here. Would have been a little bit more helpful. Maybe you have a coffee maker out at the campsite, but very cool. We do have our Harman Kardon speaker, and we can come under here, and we do get a spare tire with some tools and whatnot. So love to see that you get a spare tire, again, out on the trail. That is just some insurance that I would love to have. Come up here, we have our locking as well as just our tailgate. So we'll just hit the tailgate here, nice, smooth, right back down, and relatively quick. Now we gotta talk about the looks, and first of all, this is finished in geyser blue, which I think is just such a great color. Doesn't quite look like Yellowstone, but I'll give Subaru the pass. Was that just a flex that I've been to Yellowstone? Maybe. But overall, I love the exterior looks of the Wilderness. This, to me, feels like the full version, the full potential of the Forester. I love the wheels. I love the gold accents. The gold accents are just for the Wilderness. And as you'll notice up at the top, the roof rack has gold accents. That's because it can actually carry extra weight. So this is a redesigned roof rack just for the Wilderness trim level that can carry over 700 pounds, meaning you can camp on top of this or store all your goodies. With all of that being said, let's get on to my final thoughts. What do I think driving the Subaru Forester Wilderness for the last week? Well, I love it. I really genuinely like this, and I could see myself owning one of these in the future. So let's get that definition out of the way. A soft off-roader. A soft off-roader is a vehicle that you're going to drive on the street 99.9% of the time. Now, you might take that trip out to Colorado and do some rock crawling or go down a trail or try to get to one of the cool hiking trails that is a little bit more treacherous. A lot of manufacturers are doing this now. Toyota has the Woodland version of the RAV4. Honda has the Trail Sport editions of the CR-V and Passport. Nissan has its Rock Creek for the Rogue. Hyundai has XRT for several of its vehicles. And the list goes on. And the whole point of soft off-roaders is to offer that nice driving feel with a little bit of off-road capability. This isn't a 4Runner or a Jeep that's going to punish you for driving over 55 miles an hour. This still is going to drive and handle and work as a normal vehicle 9 out of 10 times, but have that extra capability. So why is the Forester Wilderness and just the Wilderness brand from Subaru the best to do it and the golden standard for soft off-roaders? Well, they give you quite a bit more over the standard vehicle. They actually increase the ground clearance. They give you extra knobby tires. They give you an extra drive mode, which not all of the soft off-roaders do. Subaru. They increase the capacity of the roof rack. They give you this extra cladding, so if you hit branches or scuff up against rocks, you're not going to chip as much paint off. That's why this kind of looks a little bit funkier. They give you the matte black sticker on the hood to reduce glare when driving out in very sunny conditions. They do a lot. It really feels like Subaru actually put in the time and effort to make this a more special and way more capable vehicle than just the standard Forester. As much as I like the CR-V Trail Sport, it's really just kind of wheels and floor mats. The Nissan Rogue Rock Creek doesn't even increase any of the ground clearance. And so that's why this is the gold standard, and that's why I like this so much, because it actually does its homework and makes it a better off-roading experience. And so this is the best, the most capable vehicle for most people. Unless you're hitting the trails every weekend, going through deep mud ruts, sure, get that Jeep, get that 4Runner, get that Lexus GX 460. But man, if you do 1 or 2 trips a year, or just do some light camping, do this, because every other day of the year, you're gonna thank yourself for buying the more comfortable vehicle. This is a really sweet spot, and honestly, the Wilderness is a segment-defining vehicle, and it's the best to do it. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to Subaru for letting me borrow their Forester Wilderness for the last week. Huge thank you to G. Schmidt for facilitating the cleaning and delivery of this vehicle, and of course, the Midwest Automotive Media Association. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.